Hello everybody, I'm filming this introduction at the end of my filming for today, and there's a good reason for that which you'll find out at the end of the video. I came up with an idea not so long ago to use something like this on top of this double burner style of alcohol stove, and I believed that it would reduce the amount of flame that you're getting and reduce the amount of heat it was putting out, and thus make it more efficient and save on fuel. The results have actually surprised me, and they may surprise you as well. Enjoy the video. Today we're going to be doing a lot of experimentation with these twin burner style alcohol stoves. This is a follow-up to my last video in which I showed you a way that you could reduce the flame on this style of alcohol stove to make it more efficient and more usable. It's so much easier to just show you rather than try and explain it. Put a bit of fuel in each. So what we're looking for is the flame pattern. The avenue came to a bloom very quickly, and the Tom shoe, he's struggling a bit. I put the same amount of fuel in both of them, by the way. At this rate, the avenue's going to burn out before the other one gets going. Oh, we've always got life. The difference between the two style of alcohol stove is the avenue's got some kind of wick inside, and I think that helps to get the alcohol running up a lot quicker, rather than the other style on the right hand side, the much cheaper versions. They're just hollow inside. Apart from that, they're almost identical, all bar maybe a millimetre here and there. It's almost there, come on. I think we're good. Okay, so my first thing to show you is that these alcohol stoves, they burn with a lot of flame. So they're no good for simmering. You waste a lot of the alcohol up the sides, and that's how it becomes less efficient. In answer to a question, how do you put these out? Trangia simmering lid. Of course, what you can also do is use a Trangia simmering in the semi-open position. While I thought about it, I just wanted to quickly cover the subject of excess fuel. When you've got excess fuel in these, they're an absolute nightmare to tip out. So what I found is something like this. I've shown it in other videos before. Just a little container which you can get for your kitchen or whatever to measure out things. If you get your alcohol stove and you just pour it and stick it upside down, the whole thing will drain out. Then you can simply pour your excess fuel back into your alcohol bottle. Of course, this isn't practical for everybody, but for some situations it may work for you. Just for fun, I'm going to experiment with flame pattern. And what I mean by that is, if we've got a larger disc on top, then that will force the outside jets to behave in a certain way. And if we've got a much smaller piece on top, that may force the jets to perform in a different way. Although being this size, it may even put the whole thing out. Who knows? I've also got the top of a Trangia lid as well. So just for fun, I'll try that and see what happens. So here we go then. I genuinely don't know how this is going to turn out. This is my original one that I did. This is out of the bottom of a baked bean can. This is 60mm wide. That gives you that flame pattern. Better put a glove on for this, hadn't I? Health and safety and all that. So if I can nudge him over in the middle. There we go. He sits on there nicely. We take him off. And now we've got the lid off of a Trangia alcohol stove. Just the top bit, the flame guard bit. I've forgotten the name now. I'm having a senior moment. Let's see what happens. I'm not sure how that helps in any way. It seems to be wider is better. Let's take them off without burning my hands. I'll go in with a magnet. And finally, I've got a much smaller piece of can here, and I want him to sit directly on the jets in the middle to see if that makes any difference at all. Let's give him a go. There's your answer. Makes no difference whatsoever. Not that I can see anyway. So it looks like to reduce the flame pattern sufficiently, you're better off, if I can get that off of there, you're better off going much wider. By the way, it's a good way to put your stove out if you've got nothing else and it's on the ground. It just sucks the oxygen out. Most people will never use this type of configuration where you just have the alcohol stove and sit the pot on top. What most people will do is light the stove and then put it in some kind of pot support, pot stand, and then put their pots on top. This is where my little idea to reduce the flame pattern comes in. The way in which most of us use this type of stove is in this configuration where we've got the stove lit and some sort of pot support or windshield around it, and then we place our pot on top. What happens then is that there's quite a lot of flame, so a lot of it is wasted around the sides of the pot. So that's where my little idea comes in. What I'm trying to do is reduce this flame and make it more efficient. So if we pop him on the top, I'll just move him over a tad, he's not dead central. That's now reduced that flame to the point where, in theory, if we put a stove on top, there'd be much less flame wasted and he'd be far more efficient. I'm not entirely sure that that makes much of a difference. We seem to have just as much flame pattern with my adapter on as we do without the adapter on. When you look at the two alcohol stoves face on, remembering the one on the right hand side, I put a piece of tin on the top to reduce the flame pattern. That looks as though it has actually reduced it. The one on the left is like a burning inferno and the one on the right is much calmer. But as soon as you put a pot on top of it, it doesn't look as though it's reduced the flame that much. It has to an extent, but not a massive amount. You can see we've got blue flame and yellow flame coming up here evenly all the way around. Here we still have blue and yellow flame coming up, but maybe not quite as much. So the grand idea I had to take a piece of metal like this, piece of tin, and put it on top of an alcohol stove, and then that would reduce the amount of flame in there to make the whole stove more efficient and more usable. It turns out it was a complete and utter lie. Not an intentional lie. I genuinely believed that putting a metal plate on the top of here reduced the flame pattern, but today's testing has proved that it doesn't. So the brilliant idea I came up with has failed. I've let myself down, but more importantly, I've let you down. We may not have succeeded this time, but we've learned a lot along the way. Following on from your wonderful comments, I was also going to experiment with the ever new DX stand, but I'll save that for the next video. I'll see you next time.